My name is Harrison Ransley, and I am the president of the University of Maine Student Government. I would like to welcome everyone to the Fall 2020 Convocation for the University of Maine and its regional campus, the University of Maine at Machias. The theme of our convocation this year is learning, discovering, and partnering, with inclusive excellence at its core. To open our program, please enjoy the national anthem performed by UMaine Class of 2020 Music Education and Performance graduate Brandon Emerson.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm President Joan Farini Mundy, and I would like to begin by noting that the University of Maine recognizes that it is located on Marsh Island in the homeland of the Penobscot Nation, where issues of water and territorial rights and encroachment upon sacred sites are ongoing. Penobscot homeland is connected to the other Wabanaki tribal nations, the Passamaquoddy, Maliseet, and Micmac, through kinship, alliances, and diplomacy. The university also recognizes that the Penobscot Nation and the other Wabanaki tribal nations are distinct, sovereign, legal, and political entities with their own powers of self-governance and self-determination.
To open our convocation program, our first speaker is Chancellor Daniel P. Malloy. Before becoming Chancellor of the University of Maine system in 2019, he was a two-term governor of Connecticut. Now, as Chancellor, he is focused on the needs of students and preserving UMS campuses where they are. The Chancellor led a robust campus engagement directed by a set of guiding principles that include transparency, shared governance, and good faith negotiations. Chancellor Malloy is leading the University of Maine system students and state-focused response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Continuity of instruction planning started early in 2020 and enabled Maine's public universities to transition 210,000 credit hours to distance instruction over spring break to protect students and community health. At this time, it is my great pleasure to welcome the Chancellor of the University of Maine system, Daniel P. Malloy.
Good afternoon. I'm Dan Malloy, the Chancellor of the University of Maine system, of which the University of Maine and University of Maine Machias are a part. I know that this is your convocation, and I know that that marks the beginning of the educative process for this year at our institutions. I want to commend your president for the great leadership that she has demonstrated throughout this pandemic experience. And I want to thank all of the students who were with us in the spring and made it through graduation or are back with us now, as well as the staff and faculty for the unbelievable work that they accomplished. I want to say to all of you, I hope you enjoy your education as much as I enjoyed mine. It is a learning experience that will last a lifetime. You will be better for this experience, this experience obtained in two great universities within our midst. Best of luck to all of you in your endeavors. Faculty and staff, thank you for what you do. Continue to do the great work that you've accomplished in the past. And Joan, good luck to you this semester, and thank you again for your leadership.
Our next speaker is the Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost of the University of Maine, John Vollen, who started his position a little over 2 weeks ago. Prior to joining the UMaine community in August 2020, he served as Vice Provost for Academic Affairs at the University of Connecticut. Dr. Vollen was a professor of natural resources and the environment at UConn. He served a decade as department head and conducted research in ecosystems around the world, focusing on invasive species and restoration ecology. He had been awarded more than $27 million in extramural funding for both research and foundational activities. Dr. Vollen also directed UConn's interdisciplinary environmental sciences program and co-founded the Eversource Energy Center, the award-winning natural resources conservation academy he established, focused on conservation and land use planning education for high school students. In 2017, Dr. Vollen was named the Vice Provost for Academic Affairs. His numerous awards include a 2017 Excellence in Research Award from the Yukon College of Agriculture, Health and Natural Resources, and a 2019 Yukon Environmental Leadership Award. Prior to joining UConn, Dr. Vollen was professor and chair of biological sciences and director of the environmental sciences program at Florida Atlantic University. He received a PhD in forestry from the University of Wisconsin-Madison, where he also did a postdoctoral fellowship. I would now like to welcome John Vollen, Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost.
Well, thank you, Harrison. Really appreciate that introduction. And I also want to put a shout out to Brandon. That was an inspiring national anthem. Thank you. I also want to thank you, Maine, and the larger community for the warm welcome I've received since moving here just a few weeks ago. I'm excited to convey the same welcome to our newest UMaine members, and a welcome back to those of you who are returning. I appreciate the traditions we uphold in academia, including this, a fall convocation, as a way to ground the academic year. I'm grateful for this way to continue the tradition and our connection, even in the midst of a pandemic. As a society, there can be no doubt that we are facing extraordinary times, but UMaine and the University of Maine at Machias comprises an extraordinary community of students, faculty, staff, and community members. In just my first 2 weeks, I have already witnessed and been inspired by the commitment, hard work, and thoughtful planning that has gone into the COVID-19 response, as well as the preparation for UMaine's continued delivery on our land grant mission. I think you will likely often hear the term land grant throughout your time at UMaine. It's something I grew up with, and this is my fourth institution that I've worked in that it's a land grant. And so why is this important, land grant? Well, UMaine's origin was as a result of the Morrill Act of 1862, which sought to ensure the expansion of access to higher education to a broader segment of the population. This was revolutionary. It's one of the primary reasons the US has been a leader in higher education for more than 150 years. And it didn't just end with legislation during the height of the Civil War, but considerations of equity and inclusion resulted in additional land grant legislation in 1890 and in 1994. The concept of an inclusive, educated citizenry is integral to the success of society, and this commitment, as we know, is no less relevant today. Our mission of teaching, research, and public service continues to be expressed in our response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The rapid deployment of the expertise of our faculty, staff, students, and administration has been integral in the state's response. We continue to use our collective expertise to advance the health and safety of our communities and state. As we have with COVID-19, we take seriously our responsibilities to be a community of learners and researchers, and to engage in service opportunities to improve the lives of all in our society across an array of challenges and opportunities, whether it be equity and inclusion, climate change mitigation, health, and so many others. Our strategic values of fostering learner success, discovering and innovating, and growing and advancing partnerships are our foundation, and they echo and reinforce our land-grant tradition. The determination of guiding values for an institution is critical. So are the development of our own personal guiding values. So today, I want to welcome you and celebrate your inclusion in this extraordinary community and to the development of your personal contribution. You will have countless opportunities at UMaine and at UMM, both in and out of the classroom. You will create lifelong relationships. Some of you may find your future partner here, as well as memories through exceptional educational experiences, research opportunities, co-curricular activities, among many more. As you consider the options before you, I encourage you to think about your values, what contribution you want to make, and how the University of Maine and the University of Maine at Machias can help support you in your endeavors. So I wish the best to you for this academic year. I look forward to meeting many of you as well as beyond. Thank you.
Thank you, Provost Vollen, and welcome to Maine. Welcome from the University of Maine at Machias to everyone watching, joining us for Fall 2020 Convocation. My name is Avery Davis, and I'm the current president of the University of Maine at Machias Student Government. I come from Milford, New Hampshire, and this is my 5th year at UMaine Machias, and I'm currently pursuing a BCS in Biological GIS. I chose UMaine Machias because of its location, abundance of hands-on science courses, and its size. As I have been here throughout the years, the amazing faculty members have helped reinforce my decision. It has certainly been an eventful year for everyone, and it's amazing how our communities are pushing forward to ensure everyone gets the most out of their college experience while remaining safe during these unique times. So I wish to say thanks to all of those who work tirelessly to find new methods of teaching and assisting students throughout the summer. With that being said, I am pleased to introduce our next speaker to give the land acknowledgement and greetings from the Penobscot Nation. As Ambassador Malloy and Dana is responsible to act as a representative of the Penobscot Nation and to serve as a liaison for the nation at the local, state, and federal levels of government in order to educate and advocate for policy and laws that impact and protect the Penobscot Nation's sovereignty, culture, natural resources, and the general welfare of the Penobscot people. Ambassador Dana graduated from the University of Maine in Orono with a degree in political science. She's also the proud and loving mother of 2 daughters. Ambassador Dana is an outspoken advocate on the issue of derogatory mascots and imagery. Her advocacy resulted in the state of Maine recently enacting a law to change the annual Columbus Day in October to Indigenous Peoples Day and prohibit public schools from using derogatory mascots. In the years leading up to Maine legislator taking action, Ambassador Dana represented the Penobscot Nation in the effort to have the Skowhegan High School drop their Indian mascot. Her other passion is finding ways to strengthen and expand programs that help to preserve and teach the customs and traditions of the Penobscot people. Please welcome Ambassador Dana.
Thank you, Avery. Thank you, everyone, for having me. It's great to see you all. So the land acknowledgement that President Farini Mundy gave was very beautiful, and we appreciate that. The land that the university sits on, Marsh Island, Orono, is Penobscot territory. Machias is Passamaquoddy homeland, and all of Maine is predated by the tribal nations who have stewarded these lands and waters since time immemorial, and we are still here. We are happy to have a relationship with the university that benefits our tribal citizens and also cares for tribal resources and our intellectual property rights. We also have many opportunities to improve that relationship and learn from each other and celebrate our shared connection to these lands. The Penobscot Nation is a small community with a lot of elders. We've taken a very hard line in managing this pandemic. We have a checkpoint at the bridge limiting access to the reservation. We have an all remote start for school this year. We closed our buildings and offices before states and towns and municipalities, and everyone is still mostly remotely working except for essential workers like healthcare and public safety. Our ancestors were nearly exterminated by infectious diseases, many of them infected on purpose. So it is our duty to protect all of our people, especially our most vulnerable. We are really encouraged by the steps that the university is taking with testing, with the no large gatherings, social distancing around campus, quarantine policies in areas, requiring face coverings, and we have already seen enforcement of these policies. And we know it's not a pleasant situation, but we're very comforted by the fact that the university is taking this pandemic very seriously. So my message to the students, we welcome you, but our welcome is not an invitation to put members of my nation at risk. This is a time in the history of the world where there's a chance for us all to think outside of ourselves and care for the well-being of all of those around us. Wearing a mask and following safety protocols based in science is not a blow to your rights and freedoms. It is common sense, respect, and decency. It is supporting the idea that we all deserve to survive this pandemic with our communities and families intact. So I'm asking you all very humbly, and I must add with great respect for you for continuing your higher education and bringing your gifts to the world. I just ask you to understand that while you are moving about in our homeland, you need to think about our rights to safety and survival. I am very hopeful because I have seen that the leadership and administration has done the hard work in setting up strong policies and will continue to enforce them to help stop the spread of COVID-19. As someone who has worked from home for the past 7 months with 2 children in my home, I know that this has greatly disrupted all of our lives, and we're all doing the best that we can. A lot of the responsibility continues to fall on each of us to have love and care for our fellow humans. I hope that you all rise to the challenge to be good neighbors, and I know that you will. Thank you again, President Farini Mundy and University of Maine for including me in today's program and for establishing a path forward for continued collaboration in this pandemic. I wish you all wellness and peace. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ambassador Dana. Hello and welcome. My name is Faye Smith and I am a junior ecology and environmental science major with a concentration in sustainability. Despite the circumstances, I'm eager to begin a new semester with you all. Whether you are taking classes remotely, in person, or a hybrid of both, UMaine and UMaine Machias are excited for you to be a part of our family. Joan Farini Mundy became the 21st president of the University of Maine and its regional campus, the University of Maine at Machias, in July of 2018. In her first year, President Farini Mundy initiated the strategic vision and values planning process and led a University of Maine system-wide process culminating a 5-year strategic plan for research and development. She serves on the board of Maine Center Ventures and Maine and Company and is the academic advisory team chair for Focus Maine. The president served as a member of the strategic working team for the governor's economic development plan and a member of the Mathematics Standards Review Steering Committee for the Maine Department of Education. Prior to her coming to Maine, she was the chief operating officer of the National Science Foundation. Her distinguished career spans the fields of mathematics education, STEM, education and policy, teacher education, and research administration. She has more than 100 publications and has mentored 10 doctoral students. Among her awards and recognitions are the U.S. Senior Executive Service Presidential Rank Award. President Farini Mundy is a member of the Board on Higher Education and the workforce of the National Academies. She holds a PhD in mathematics education from the University of New Hampshire. To give the keynote address, I am pleased to welcome the President of the University of Maine and the University of Maine at Machias, President Joan Farini Mundy.
Thank you so much, Faye, and thank you everyone for being here today. Welcome to those who would have been with us in the Collins Center, seated at our newly ingrained 6-foot distance. And thank you for your flexibility in participating instead by Zoom when we changed our plans. Most particularly, I'd like to thank the members of the class of 2024. Those who are here at the University of Maine and at the University of Maine at Machias, welcome to other students, faculty and staff and family and friends who are with us. Thank you for being here at the Fall Convocation to launch the 2020-2021 academic year, a year with its own firsts, challenges, and opportunities. I'd like to thank Chancellor Malloy for his welcoming remarks and recognize members of the University of Maine System Board of Trustees, the UMaine and UMaine Machias Boards of Visitors, and all alumni who have joined today. And I want to thank our students, the nearly 12,000 of you who are enrolled and have started the fall 2020 semester with us. Almost 2,200 of you are first-year students, coming from 38 countries and 48 states. About 1/4 of you are the first in your families to attend college. And among those who reported race and ethnicity, 16% of you report being African American, Black, Latinx, Asian, Native American, or multi-ethnic. You and your families have made the choice to pursue higher education, a choice that has profound consequences for the options that you will have in your future and those for your children and your grandchildren. And you have chosen the University of Maine, or our coastal campus, University of Maine at Machias, with our world-class faculty. Did you hear about the $100 million investment made by international corporations this summer in our floating offshore wind technologies designed by faculty here at UMaine? We have nearly 100 different majors and programs. Our frontier research and scholarly work is happening in dozens of laboratories and facilities across the state of Maine and around the world. Did you know that UMaine graduate students climbed Mount Everest last summer to place the world's highest weather instruments near its peak? We have a reputation for outstanding, caring instruction and exceptional research learning opportunities. So I believe that you've made great choices, and I guarantee that your time here will make you all the more certain that those were the right choices. I'm beginning my 3rd year as your president. Based on 3 years of data, I can tell you that we might get one more spell of warmer weather. But most importantly, what I can tell you is that we are a caring, kind, and empathic community that is already welcoming you. I still have my notes from when people were telling me about their favorite spots on campus to visit, their favorite places in Maine, and about where to see a moose, although the first and only one I've ever seen was on my way to Machias. After 2 years, I've added my own favorites to the list. For instance, go take a walk in the gardens on Rangeley Road, or visit the Page Farm. If you're new to Maine, you'll find your own places and favorites. And if you've been here, I know you will help those who are new to get to know this beautiful and welcoming place. I'm enjoying seeing what's happening on campus this week. The names of our first-year students scrolling on the scoreboard by the Alphonse Stadium, which is a preview of what happens at commencement in 4 years. Students figuring out how to connect while wearing your face coverings, taking a quiet moment at a picnic table under a beautiful Norway spruce, reading the lovely inscriptions on the fire pits at Machias, or checking out the bald eagles that fish along the Stillwater River. I can see you working to maintain 6-foot distance, not gathering in crowds while playing Frisbee or kicking around a soccer ball. I thank you for recognizing that following the Black Bear and Clipper pacts are every bit as vital now to your continued learning and to the safety and well-being of our communities as it is to follow your course syllabus. It's critical to the success of all of us in ways that we don't yet fully understand. So although none of your first day of school pictures, which your parents and families still want to have, in the past several years, none of those pictures have shown you wearing a face covering, but now they do, and you're breaking new ground being university students in 2020. We come together at the beginning of this academic year with coronavirus among us in ways that pervade everything, from how we gather to how we teach and learn, to how we stay healthy, and how we commit to taking care of one another. In less than 6 months, this deadly virus has forced us to transform our research and the way we do it, to rethink the purposes of our partnerships, and to reshape ourselves as a university. So this year, we also come together at the beginning of the year amidst national waves of unrest and urgent demands for racial justice, in the wake of the deaths of Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and the shooting of Jacob Blake. The quest for racial justice, for dismantling structural racism in our educational institutions, and for taking actions now also pervade and reshape us as a university. If you didn't participate in the 5-day online Racial Justice Challenge, I recommend it. It was offered by the UMaine Office for Diversity and Inclusion and the Fogler Library in August. You can find it on the library's website. It made me personally think very hard about some rather fundamental issues. And as we come together at the beginning of this academic year, our planet faces ongoing threats through climate change. Warmer temperatures, rising sea levels, extreme weather, and the effects of all of these on some of the world's most vulnerable people must be part of the conversation in higher education. I hope you know that the University of Maine research to better understand climate change and its impacts is internationally acclaimed and is reshaping the world. Learn about the work of the Climate Change Institute. Take a look at the great data available in their Climate Reanalyzer. So, class of 2024, welcome to a momentous time for the world, the nation, the state of Maine, Orono and Machias, Marsh Island, and for you as a class and as individuals. Know that through your experiences here at UMaine, you can make a difference. You can be part of the solution, and yes, you can enjoy college and thrive here. And I'll offer some ideas about how. The Convocation is a group of people formally assembled for a special purpose. Convocations in universities are an established academic tradition dating back centuries. The occasion is both ceremonial and celebratory. And of course, how we conduct ceremonies and what and how we celebrate change with time and context. At UMaine, Convocation is meant to focus on the richness of academic life. And it also says on the website, the UMaine website, attendance by all new students is expected. Well, your academic life will have some features never before experienced in the college life of generations of Black Bears and Clippers before you, except perhaps for those who were here in 1918 during the H1N1 virus of that time, who did attend athletic events wearing masks at UMaine, because we've seen some photographs. And when we say attendance is expected today, it means we hope you are here or watching online, either synchronously or asynchronously. I was going to remind you to stay at home if you have COVID-19 symptoms, and I was going to list the symptoms. You know them, and we do urge you to take care of yourselves and everyone else. I can't imagine any place to work that is more rewarding, more engaging, and more energizing than a university. And yes, a university even in the fall of 2020, with all that we face. For one thing, every year brings newness, a reset, and a freshness that can inspire and motivate us. The very bold, innovative Arizona State University president, Michael Crow, said, COVID is just a sign of global complexity, a sign of global interconnectedness, a chance for public universities to truly democratize access to higher education. At the University of Maine and UMaine Machias, this interconnectedness among all in our community with the state of Maine and beyond is core to what we do. In fact, we're only able to be back here together because people came together. Experts in public health, immunologists, custodians, facilities crews, public safety leaders, university administrators and system administrators, financial aid staff, professors, local landlords and town leaders, and now all of you. And for me, interconnectedness means we must live, not just talk about, our core of inclusive excellence, all day, every day. We can't democratize higher education, as Michael Crow reminds us that we must do, without understanding that talent and potential are everywhere, and we must be a place of diversity. We can't claim to be about social empowerment if not all in the community are empowered to do their work well and to reach for their dreams, unfettered by the structural racism and invisible and visible barriers that creates. So we come together as a community in part because of COVID, but we need to look past our face coverings and look more closely than 6 feet to be sure, consistent, and constant in our commitment to valuing what each person brings to this educational enterprise. This rich array of our collective experiences is what makes for the richness of our academic life and collective learning. Both UMaine and UMaine Machias have special places in the history of Maine that relate to the message of inclusive excellence and connectedness. UMaine Machias was established in 1909 as Washington State Normal School with the mission of preparing teachers for Washington County. Preparing teachers meant providing education for the children and young people of Washington County. You can't be more focused on inclusive excellence than that. The University of Maine came into existence earlier, as Provost Vollen has mentioned, through the Morrill Act as the Maine State College of Agriculture and the Mechanic Arts in 1866. The goal of the nation's new land-grant universities was to promote the liberal and practical education of the industrial classes. And today, UMaine is a land, sea, and space grant university. And as we express in our land acknowledgement, it is central to our history and central today that the University of Maine is also home of the Penobscot Nation, and the University of Maine at Machias is close to the Passamaquoddy Nation. The voices and leaderships of Native faculty, staff, students, and community members must be core at the University of Maine. And I want to express my special gratitude to Ambassador Malloy and Dana, also an alumna, for taking the time to be with us today and so many other days and guiding us as we move forward. So from the beginnings, the existential reason for the University of Maine has been to serve the state of Maine and to educate its people for the social empowerment that comes with education in public universities. So what does serving the state look like at this moment? And how can you be a part of it? Well, one strong lesson for me in the past 6 months is that universities, and specifically this university, are ever-changing, responsive, and proactive institutions, driven by the people that comprise them. Universities carry on the centuries-old tradition of building new knowledge and passing that knowledge on to new generations who will then build their own knowledge. At the same time, though, this university has done far more. We've built knowledge in real time to address the needs of this state as they unfold. UMaine people have helped with the advanced manufacturing needs for PPE, with GIS mapping for coastal communities coping with flooding, to helping farmers connect to those who need their products, to making Maine a leader in renewable energy through floating wind offshore technologies. What has been most rewarding and inspiring to watch, and you will see it soon if you haven't already, is the way that our university unfolds its work in learning, leading, and partnering in the complexities and needs of the times. Many of your professors are engaged in this work, and you will have the chance to engage with them if you're interested. UMaine scientists and their students have shaped how this reopening is happening, using their knowledge of virology, epidemiology, statistics, and mathematical modeling to work on one of the most interdisciplinary, urgent, and relevant problems ever. What does science tell us about face coverings, about distancing, about frequency and type of testing and retesting? Check out the work of the UMaine System Advisory Board on my Office of the President website. UMaine historians have drawn on the scholarly practices of their discipline to help a UMaine committee make recommendations about the renaming of CC Little Hall and how that renaming becomes a chance to use history to better understand the present. See the committee's report also on my website. UMaine faculty and staff in the performing arts have found new ways to bring us music, dance, and theater, and to be sure that we don't leave out a class or a generation experiencing this critical part of the human experience. Take some time to watch the performances of the 10 finalists in the Maine Talent Showcase available on the Collins Center for the Arts website. There are UMaine faculty members who did everything in the past 6 months, from finishing their book manuscripts, to writing successful grant proposals they hadn't really planned to write, to learning how to teach with brand new technologies, to helping to create new companies, to analyzing the state's economy, to redesigning courses that students can gather data where they are. There are UMaine faculty who have created and provided everything from hand sanitizer stations, faculty and staff, from hand sanitizer stations to space analyses of our classrooms, to reviews of hundreds of safe reopening plans for elements of our enterprise. Students participated in conversations about what COVID literacy could look like on our campus, in a roundtable on race that I hosted, in the Maine Hello Welcome and in the testing processes, and in designing new safe experiences in student life. This is a vibrant place. Experts in research-based teaching and learning have been working with faculty all summer to help them design and create learning experiences for all of you that will meet you where you are, while at the same time stay focused on learning and providing the highest quality education for which we are so well known. This is a place that's about connectedness, about community, and about excellence in including everyone. And now we've had 2 days to begin to see how this works. Students and faculty and staff, I am really eager to hear how this is unfolding for you. I know that faculty are fully committed to being compassionate and being flexible. Students, I hope you can see that. I plan to visit classrooms in the coming weeks to see firsthand what these hybrid deliveries, new face-to-face and online and remote approaches look like. Students, we need to hear from you because this is really all about you. Be in touch with your professors, your advisors, the faculty and staff in your departments, the counselors, residence life folks, and let them know what all of us can do to make it better. Be in touch with me at umpresident@maine.edu or sign up to talk with me during my office hours. I will do my part in making our community strong with all of your help. So in closing, I want to note that last year in the convocation, I offered 4 messages. And so I'm going to use the same 4 messages, just slightly edited to be more current today. First, create new adventures and learn from them. But that was the message last year. This year, and do it safely. And as the Black Bear and Clipper Pacts say, protect yourself, your community, and everyone around you. Number 2, last year's message was seek out people who are different from you and learn with them. And I'll expand that to say now, and do your part to break down the barriers that prevent inclusive excellence and that promote systemic racism. 3, define what success in this experience will mean for you and let us know. And the addendum for this year, this is a moment for creating new ways of learning and being in college, and so do your part in helping to make that happen. And the last was, don't overthink it, make a difference, and have fun. My addendum there will be safely. This is a time that demands creativity, new solutions, and commitment to change and transformation by all of us. And to make those solutions work, to transform our university for these times and the future demands that we do this together with new models of interconnectedness. Another university president whom I have admired for many years, Freeman Rabowski at the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, recently said, when people feel they are a part of a community, they have the support they need to make it through. It gives them hope. Being a community, making it through, and having hope are what we are all about. Be well and join together in creating a new richness of academic life at the University of Maine and the University of Maine at Machias. You can change today and you can define tomorrow. Thank you for taking the time today to be a part of a continuing tradition in academia. Let me express my gratitude to Dr. Kimberly Whitehead, UMaine Vice President and Chief of Staff, and the full planning committee for putting together this event with creativity and resourcefulness and great flexibility over the last few hours. Thanks to all who've helped in making this happen, to those providing technical support, to all people making remarks today, and to our outstanding musicians. I thank you. Black Bears and Clippers, have a wonderful academic year.
Thank you, President Farini Mundy. Hello, everyone. My name is Saman Zare, and today I'm here as the President of the Graduate Student Government at the University of Maine to send you our warmest welcome on behalf of our graduate students. 3 years ago, I flew over 7,000 miles to pursue a PhD degree in mechanical engineering here at UMaine. I came here to learn new skills and discover new opportunities. Little did I know then that I would find a new home and a new family. A rather large but very warm and welcoming family that includes all of our students, alumni, faculty, and staff, no matter what they look like or where they come from. Actually, members of this family come from all over the world. UMaine has been a host to students from 82 countries. And to me, that's a beautiful testament to the fact that here at UMaine, we see diversity as a strength and power, and we strive for unlocking that power with our inclusiveness. Now, I would like to invite you to hear from representatives from our alumni, faculty, and staff. Our next speaker will be Dr. Shante Dalulu. Dr. Shante Dalulu is a higher education administrator and scholar with extensive experience working on issues of diversity and inclusion. She was appointed Vice President for Institutional Equity and Diversity in December 2017 at Brown University. In her role, she provides strategic direction for a wide range of programs and initiatives to build and sustain a diverse and inclusive environment at Brown, coordinate educational and training efforts, measure and report on progress, oversee compliance, and investigate complaints. She's an alumna of the University of Maine, completing both her undergraduate and master's studies at the university. Prior to her appointment as the VP for Institutional Equity and Diversity, Dr. Dalulu served in a number of higher education positions, including Assistant Provost for Global Engagement and Director at Mellon Mays Undergraduate Fellowship Program at Brown University, Associate Dean and Director of International Student and Visitor Experience at Brown University, Director of Intercultural Center and Adjunct Instructor at Bryant University, Counselor at the Met High School in Providence, Rhode Island, Director of Admissions and Coordinator of Dual Enrollment at University of Alaska Southeast, and Assistant Director of Admissions at University of Maine. Representing our University of Maine alumni, we welcome University of Maine alumna Shante Dalulu, Vice President for Institutional Equity and Diversity at Brown University.
Thank you very much. My name is Shante Dalulu, and it is an honor and pleasure to participate in this very special convocation. You are all about to embark on a journey of learning, discovering, and partnering, and it is my sincere hope that inclusive excellence is at the core. Before I go too deep into the theme for today, I acknowledge that I am on the traditional homelands of the Narragansett and Wampanoag peoples of Rhode Island. When I was a first-year student at the university, I didn't understand the importance of learning about Indigenous peoples and their lands, and I don't recall land acknowledgements being a part of official events. So thank you to the ambassador for the work that she's done, not only for the university, but for the state of Maine. For some of you, the land acknowledgement is a normal part of your cultural practices. For others, it may be the first time you've ever heard someone open remarks like this. It is a first step to an important reflection process that will help you all be more intentional as you move through spaces on your respective campuses. In addition to the importance of reflecting, I chose to start with the land acknowledgement of Providence because I would like to model for you inclusive excellence. Inclusive excellence is a process by which a university sets out to make diversity, equity, and inclusion one of the highest priorities. Land acknowledgement is the first step in embodying that because it allows for correcting the stories and practices that erase Indigenous people's history and culture and invites honor and truth. I would like to thank the Alumni Association for this invitation and President Farini Mundy and her administration for revitalizing this important academic tradition. A major part of building community is sharing in traditions, and this is one way you will celebrate together as the class of 2024. It is very fitting for me to be a part of this event. I had plans to be on the UMaine campus in Orono this fall, celebrating my 20th anniversary reunion, another important tradition. My first roommate was from Machias, and now the University of Maine Machias is paired, a place I really didn't know anything about until coming and studying at the university. And the fact that the theme for today is having inclusive excellence at the core. This is something I've personally dedicated my career to in terms of the advancement of learning and partnering with the goal of furthering diversity and inclusion. I was the first person in my immediate family to go to college, and I grew up on a very fixed low income. Now, I'm vice president at an Ivy League institution, and I credit my education at the University of Maine for forging that path. If you would have asked me as a first-year student if I knew where my career would take me, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. One thing that was certain was that I wasn't afraid to dream about what was possible, and I set my sights high. As you begin your college journey, some of you may feel that it is overshadowed by COVID-19 or racial unrest in the US. As a Black mother and administrator, I know firsthand the incredible weight underrepresented communities are carrying as the pandemic has a disproportionate impact on Black and Brown people, and as we watch the modern day lynchings on video. The latter is not normal, and I encourage you all to process all of what is happening and build community, even if virtually. A part of dismantling oppression is in the havoc that we see in being wreaked on our country is getting your education and adding your voice to a solution. While both phenomenons have certainly changed the way we live and engage, I encourage you to take this time to think about what role you will play in fighting against racial injustice and combating this global health crisis. A major premise of how I see the academy is this: if you want to be academically excellent, innovative, and break down barriers, you must be willing to embrace and understand difference. It will be sometimes uncomfortable and maybe not easy, but you must engage with people who are different than you. Learning and discovery, both themes for today, comes with engaging with people who are different than you. That is the first step in living out the true meaning of inclusive excellence. During my time at the university, I found my niche group and I branched out on a quest of self-discovery. I asked these simple questions: who am I and what do I want to gain out of this experience? That open-mindedness led to my representing the university at meetings with the governor in Augusta, conferences on Capitol Hill in DC, a short-term immersion trip to Mexico, a semester exchange at Southern University in Louisiana, which is a historically Black college, and trips to Detroit and Michigan, and Harlem and New York and Charleston, South Carolina, as a part of alternative spring break programs, which foster groups, diverse groups to come together and volunteer in cities all over the country. After completing my undergraduate and master's degree, doors continued to open for me. I spent 2 years in Alaska, the latter part of which serving as director of admission at the University of Alaska Southeast, with campuses in Juneau, Sitka, and Ketchikan. I've traveled all over North America and countries on 5 continents. I've spent time in the bustling city of Seoul, South Korea. I've been on safari in Botswana. I've wept tears in the slave castles in Ghana. I've stood on the slave revolt site, which was the result of the first Black republic in the Americas in Go-Naive, Haiti. I've walked the timeless streets of Cuba. I climbed 463 stairs of the Duomo in Florence, Italy. I posed in front of the Taj Mahal in India. I walked the Great Wall of China, and I rode to the top of the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai. I'm not sharing any of that to boast. This is to show that a person who grew up on welfare due to my mother's disability and inability to work, who didn't get a passport until I was 21 years old. And by the way, it was a dean at the University of Maine, Dean Angel Laredo, encouraged me to travel out of the country for the first time. All those things were made possible because of my experience at the University of Maine. What is destined for you is yours if you are willing to take a chance on yourself. All of the doors that opened for me while at the university and beyond was connected to relationships that I developed over time. So I implore each of you, build relationships with your peers. College is a time to engage with people from different backgrounds. That is what's going to help you stretch and grow. Build relationships with faculty, staff, and administrators. They will become your mentors, your cheerleaders, your advisors, and your friends. I am still friends with Phyllis Brzee, a retired faculty from the University of Maine, because she saw something in me that I couldn't articulate in myself all those years ago. Most importantly, build a relationship with yourself. Use this time to further explore who you are. What is intriguing to you academically and socially and culturally? What motivates you? Allow your dreams to be bigger than your reality. Allow your dreams to be bigger than your reality. Then put all those things together. Cultivate relationships, work on yourself, and it will lead to an incredible path in your future. This past weekend, thousands of people mourned the loss of the actor Chadwick Boseman, who died at the young age of 43. Mr. Boseman portrayed such African-American greats as Jackie Robinson, Thurgood Marshall, and James Brown. He is most well known for his lead role as King T'Challa in the Marvel hit movie Black Panther. I am choosing to end with reflecting on his life because there are so many lessons for each of us. Most notably, how are you going to use the next 4 years of your life? 4 years ago, Mr. Boseman was diagnosed with colon cancer. Despite this, He pursued his dreams to the fullest extent possible, as evidenced by the body of work in that time period. And as a result, I believe he fulfilled his destiny. You may experience obstacles along your journey towards your graduation day. Keep your sights on the goal and do the things that bring you radical joy, and do them safely. To the class of 2024, Black Bears and Clippers, pursue your passions relentlessly. Take on new challenges boldly. Make wise choices safely. The decisions you make today and tomorrow and the remainder of your academic career can lead you to a career that is transcendent and inspiring. Thank you. Go, you may.
Thank you, Vice President Dalulu. Representing the University of Maine faculty will be Richard Powell, Distinguished Maine Professor and Director of the Cohen Institute for Leadership and Public Service. Dr. Richard Powell is a professor of political science and the founding director of UMaine's William S. Cohen Institute for Leadership and Public Service. He also directs the Peter Madigan Congressional Internship and the Kenneth Palmer State Legislative Internship Programs and the Interdisciplinary Minor in Leadership Studies. His research focuses on the US presidency, Congress, American political thought, and elections, including term limits and gerrymandering. Powell is the co-author of 4 books, most recently, the 2016 presidential election, The Causes and Consequences of a Political Earthquake. In 2010, he was a Fulbright lecturer at Zhejiang University in China. Powell, who earned master's and doctoral degrees from Northwestern University, joined the UMaine faculty in 2001. Please welcome Dr. Richard Powell.
On behalf of the University of Maine faculty, I welcome you to an academic year which is certainly unlike any other in our long history. I especially welcome our first-year students. I imagine you didn't envision starting your college career with masks, social distancing, and endless applications of hand sanitizer. Yet even though many of our cherished routines are altered for the time being, we enthusiastically charge forward with the central missions of this institution: learning, teaching, exploring, and the shared generation of new knowledge that contains the possibility to change individual lives, indeed your life, and the course of our broader society. At UMaine, you will unquestionably develop knowledge and skills that will directly benefit your career and enhance your future earning potential. Some estimates indicate that having a bachelor's degree leads to about $1 million in additional income over the course of one's career. You may work with world-class faculty to develop cures and treatments for diseases or technologies to mitigate climate change. You may learn how to start or manage a business or to engineer critical infrastructure projects. Those are some serious benefits that cannot be minimized. The chance for a nicer home, the ability to pay for a child's education, to advance human knowledge, to give back to one's community, and to enjoy some of life's little luxuries. And yet they do not even begin to capture the full value of a UMaine education. A true education is about developing the capacity for the flourishing of the entire human person. It is about learning to reflect meaningfully on the great philosophical and religious questions inherent in human life, to have one's soul stirred by a piece of music or a work of art, to appreciate the profoundness of a clever turn of phrase in a timeless work of literature, to appreciate the awesome diversity of human cultural expression, both past and present, to look into the night sky with a deeper understanding for the wondrous complexity of the universe, and dearest to my life's work, to learn how to responsibly participate in the challenges, opportunities, and duties of a free people governing itself in a way that promotes individual flourishing and the common good. Indeed, the past several months has reawoken us to the reality that humans are deeply social creatures with both individual aspirations and obligations to one another. Among those obligations is that we value, as individuals and as a society, the dignity and diverse potential of every person, regardless of our differences, and that we approach each other with goodwill, civility, and justice. This is absolutely central to the core mission of the University of Maine. On that note, I issue a challenge to every one of us. Over the next few weeks, I challenge you to meet and listen to at least 5 people from a background that seems totally different from yours. Maybe a person of a different race, or someone from a different culture, or someone from a different economic background, or heaven forbid, even someone with different political opinions. Do not try to persuade or validate your own experience. There's a time and place for those things. Just listen, truly listen, and seek to understand. According to the eminently quotable Mark Twain, the 2 most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. Maine is a very special place. During your time here, if you listen carefully and reflect deeply, you will not only develop practical skills and a love of lifelong learning, but you will also be able to move towards an understanding of the why of your life. We wish you a fascinating journey of discovery in the year ahead.
Thank you, Professor Powell. Our next speaker comes to us from the University of Maine at Machias, Marnie Keller. Marnie is the current Dean of Student and Admission at our regional campus, the University of Maine at Machias. Armed with a master's degree in public administration, Marnie approaches problems with a sense of humor and a lot of higher education experience. Her tagline has become, "She went to college and never left." Marnie was born and raised in Maine and loves being in the beautiful Bold Coast region, where a new cove, beach, or blueberry barren is around every corner. Please welcome from beautiful Down East Maine, Marnie Keller, Dean of Students and Admission at the University of Maine at Machias.
Thank you so much. I am so excited to be here with you guys today. It's really funny. I've been listening to the speakers, and I have to say, when I interviewed for this job, I was on my very first Zoom meeting ever. I had never heard of Zoom before, whole new thing. I was in Paris, France, visiting my friends who I actually met in college. It was a wonderful experience, and I had to figure out Zoom for the first time in a different country, on a different time zone, with a computer that I'd never seen before. All of the things in my life brought me to the moment, which was an interview of Zoom, and now I do Zoom multiple times a day. Probably you do as well. Everybody knows what Zoom is. When I first entered college, I was going to be a music major. Yep, I was going to do music. Then I changed to computer science. I like that a whole lot better. You can change too. I met people from completely different backgrounds, completely different places. I grew up in a place called Alna, Maine. If you guys are from Alna or know where it is, you get total bonus points. But it is tiny. Machias is a major metropolis compared to where I grew up. But I love it here. We have moose on our campus all the time, and we have deer. So no offense to you, Maine, but we have a little bit more of the wildlife. We're super excited to have you. We hope you have an amazing year. Ask questions, find out new things. If you are passionate about something and you don't see it, speak up. We want you to bring your energy to the next great event that we plan. What do you like to do? What do you want to see? We want to know. What are you passionate about? And how can we help you transform that passion into something amazing? Maybe it's going to be a research project, and you are going to be on the cutting edge of the next technology that completely changes the world. So for all of you, I wish you the best year ahead. Have a wonderful experience and take care. Now, I do have a really special, awesome thing I'm going to introduce you guys to. We have right now one of the I am so sorry. I lost my my little blurb because I don't know this group as well as I should do. But we would like to celebrate and showcase the creativity, tenacity, spirit, and drive of all of our students during these really difficult times. Please enjoy a fun performance put together by the female a cappella ensemble Renaissance as they send their wishes for a great year at the University of Maine and the University of Maine at Machias.
I'm making sculptures. I'm taking myself portraits. Lonely woman.
Stuck taking landscapes, stuck taking still life, stuck making sculptures. I'm out here taking bad self-portraits of a bad self-portraits of a lonely girl, sad self-portraits of a
Great job. To help us bring to a close our fall 2020 convocation, it is now my pleasure to introduce Robert Dana, Vice President for Student Life and Inclusive Excellence for the University of Maine and the University of Maine at Machias. Vice President Dana is dedicated to creating an engaging, exciting, and safe campus where students are empowered to fully develop their capacity as change agents and to providing support services to students to help them succeed at the University of Maine and the University of Maine at Machias. He works deliberately to involve students in the life of these communities and in rounding out their college careers so that their impact in the world can be maximized. He is a problem solver and an advocate who cares deeply about students and the quality of their lives. Please welcome Vice President Robert Dana.
Thank you so much, Avery, and thank you to everybody who's here. I would be remiss if I didn't first of all say thank you so much to Faye and to Harrison, to Saman and to Avery. It's wonderful to have a group of leaders, students here with us today for your classmates and for all those who will follow you to observe and to witness your greatness. So thank you so much. I want to thank the president as well and Provost Vollen. two great student-centered leaders. And I can assure everybody listening that to have a campus of the quality of the University of Maine and the University of Maine at Machias, you need people who really care. And to have the president who stands before you today and joined now by Provost Vollen is just amazing. Similarly, I thank Marnie up there in Machias. She's magnificent. She's a great personality, and she's a great dean, and she's doing a wonderful, wonderful job. To see Shante and to see Malloy in here, both former students at the University of Maine, is just a great moment of pride for myself, and I'm sure everybody watching. It's just wonderful to have your voices with us today. And then there's Vice President Kimberly Whitehead up there, and I thank her and the whole staff. I can't imagine the work that goes into something like this, but it's very important. It's a moment of great celebration for a university to come together at a time like this. As part of what the president wanted to do was to say thank you to everyone. And I wanted to add that in this time of the COVID complexity, I like to call it, it takes a literal huge entourage to make a place like this operate, or to make a place like the University of Maine at Machias operate. And it operates on the sensitivities and creativity, excitement and engagement of the faculty here at the University of Maine and at Machias, the faculty senate leaders, the faculty assembly. It relies heavily on the professional and classified advisory employee councils and every single professional at the University of Maine, every staff member. It relies heavily on the President's Council on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. It includes everybody from the President's Cabinet, many of whom are listening today. It includes all the deans and the academic administrators. It includes student life staff. We have a wonderful group of people whose only care in the world is to see to it that students have a perch to greatness. And it includes everybody in facilities at the University of Maine, everybody in the IT enterprise, everybody in facilities management and auxiliary services. It includes people in the health center. But most importantly, it includes you, the class of 2024, and your colleagues, students here at the University of Maine. Together, we'll be very strong. We'll pass through this time of COVID complexity. I hope that we'll all be better human beings because of it. I hope that even in a day and time when we're encouraged to put Heisman up to people and to push people back, that we are actually engaging the light, and that we're engaging others, that we're caring for others, and we're learning to love better than we ever loved before. So I thank you for my involvement here today. It's a delight to virtually be with you. I hope to see you all soon.
Robert, are we ready for the Stein song?
I believe we are, and I suppose we could start it off with all of us doing this, right?
Right.
So where is it?
I'm just going to give 4 beats, and after you all hear me 4, just start playing the song, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you.
No.